Let's see how to add bolts to solve a connection between a beam and two diagonals in CYPE Connect. Starting from a previously created node, we select it in the table on the left-hand side of the interface and edit the connection by clicking on the corresponding button at the top. In the Connection pop-up window in the Model tab, we must specify the operations needed to define the connection. In this example, a perpendicular welded plate has been added to the bottom flange of the beam, and trimming operations have been carried out to modify its geometry. Furthermore, the sections of the diagonals have been adjusted so that they do not overlap with the beam. Next, we are going to insert the bolts between each of the diagonals and the plate. To do this, we click on the Bolts option in the top toolbar. At the top of the central panel, we select the element we wish to bolt, which can be either a section or a plate. Here, we first choose section B2 and then we select Web. We indicate that we wish to bolt it to a plate, selecting the only plate entered in the model from the drop-down menu on the right. The program will automatically detect if there are other elements among those selected in these drop-down menus, for example, a plate between two sections. Below, we indicate the position of the bolts by means of an X and Y coordinate system. The reference system for the bolt coordinates is the envelope of the selected element, that is, its original geometry before being adjusted. In this case, it is the web of section B2. We can use the View options to make the envelope of the sections visible in the connection view. We make the sections transparent by clicking on the cell in the drawing column and activate the envelope view on the right. After we click Accept, the envelopes of the sections are shown in grey. If the operation is activated, the program also shows the origin of the bolt coordinates in the view, drawing the X-axis in red and the Y-axis in green. To manually define the position of the bolts, we click on Add to include them in the table and type in their X and Y coordinates in the units shown. In our case, we manually create 4 bolts with X and Y coordinates of 280, 30, 280, minus 30, 340, 30 and 340, minus 30 millimeters. The other options at the top of the table allow us to copy, delete, move or delete all the bolts entered. We also have a tool to generate the bolts automatically. In the help image, we can consult the local axes of the element. Furthermore, 2 rows and 3 columns of bolts are shown, and the position of the initial spacing of the rows, the spacing between rows, the initial spacing between columns, and the spacing between columns are drawn. Below, we define the type of bolt. To do this, we click on the button on the right and select the EN 14399-3 series and a nominal diameter of 12 from the drop-down menu. Then we click on Accept. If desired, we can now click on the name of the series to open a window where we can modify its reference and its geometric properties, both those of the bolt and those of the nut and washer, as well as the available lengths in the table on the right. At the bottom, it is also indicated whether the bolt is pre-stressed or with lock nut, as well as the number of washers on the side of the head and on the side of the nut. Below, we specify the material of the bolt, using the drop-down menus accessible from the button on the right. We select grade 4.6 steel and click on Accept again. By clicking on the button that displays the name of the material, we can consult and modify its properties, including its reference, description, modulus of elasticity, yield strength, and fracture limit, as well as the material of the nut and the washer. Finally, we set a space of 2 mm. At the bottom, we can also reverse the direction of the bolts. This way, we have added the bolts that join diagonal B2 with the welded plate. To place the bolts that join diagonal B3 with the same plate, we simply select the operation in the table on the left and click on the copy button at the top. Then, in the new operation, we only change the element in the top drop-down menu, which will be B3. The rest of the parameters can remain as they are. Once the model is finished, we can continue working by opening the Analysis tab to carry out the analysis of the connection.